Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Game Time with John Eads. I am very excited for this episode, another great guest coming in. You probably recognize the face, but if you've seen the face, you're like, where do I know that guy from? Will Hellmers, former LSU pitcher, just finished up his career last May when the Tigers went to Chapel Hill and lost in a very tough game, but a very fun game out there in the regional final. It was winner take all out there. Unfortunately, LSU fell, but the end of an excellent career for Will. And nowadays, he's still living around Baton Rouge, working for Gordon McKernan, and kind enough to take some time to hang out with us today. Appreciate you coming down.
Absolutely,
Will.
brother.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me. Excited to talk.
Me too. A lot I want to talk about between your career last year and then what you've seen from this year's teams. I know you're still around and you keep up with the guys and you played with a decent amount of the people still on the team. I guess I want to start with this. You know, it was at this time last year, SEC tournament's coming up here, that y'all went on that crazy run, turned the season around, made the tournament really with ease. A lot of us were like, are they even going to make the tournament? You guys were a 2 seed at a regional, which was incredible. Let's start there. How did you guys do that last year? Just flip the switch?
Sometimes baseball is funny like that. You know, maybe it takes one game or one play or one, inning to really spark things up for a whole team for the rest of the season. That's kind of what happened in Hoover last year. You know, we even went into it like, had a meeting before where it's like, man, we got to go win some games in Hoover. And maybe that subtle shift of focus to where, man, we want to keep our season going after this, so we need to figure some stuff out. And in Hoover last year, it was kind of just bang, 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 bang the whole way through. And obviously, we ended up in the championship final against Tennessee, lost, but went to a great regional and had that thriller against South Carolina that everybody remembers, the 11-inning.
There were 2 of them.
Yeah, that's right.
Both thrillers.
Thrillers. But with the catcher's balk deal or whatever last year, which was a lot of fun. And the SEC tournament itself, like, as you know, just watching, it's the best place. If you like college baseball, there's no other place to be in the world than the SEC tournament. And so that's kind of what I think last year is just that little shift of focus can really change how a team goes out there and performs and competes and plays for each other. And it just changes. It can change your season, and it did for us. We had that hot streak at the end of the season and kind of kept it going, tried to keep it going, and just fell a little bit short.
Came up 1 strike shy, I think, right? It was 3-2.
Yes.
Bottom of the 9th in Chapel Hill, and then Gage was on the mound, and they had like a bloop single or something like that.
Yep.
And then,
baseball, you can't win them all.
Right.
Can't win them all.
No, it was awesome.
That's name of the game.
It was a fun ride. That was my first time going to Hoover. And I don't know if I'm ever going to have an experience top that one because y'all were the first game of the whole tournament.
That's right.
And then you ended up in the last game of the
right.
tournament. So we were there, Tuesday to Sunday,
Yeah,
I think.
Tuesday to Sunday.
That was your favorite trip there, I'd imagine?
Absolutely. Yeah, because that was in my 4 years, that was the furthest we went. So I had Coach Mainieri my freshman year, and we got knocked out in the first game. Jay the next 3, and that was my senior year was the furthest we went playing Tennessee in the final. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah. And Hoover itself is just like the atmosphere, where you're staying in the hotel with other teams, all that kind of stuff is just so like, it's almost like Omaha in some ways. It turns into a whole baseball town, just like Omaha did. And it's what's not to love about that?
Well, typically Omaha is packed with SEC teams anyway, right?
Exactly.
So it's kind of Omaha that's not Omaha,
Hoover 2.0.
Precursor to
That's
it, yeah.
Right. Alex Box.
Yeah.
Of the North.
That was a lot of fun last year. I guess from a player's perspective, a lot of fans wonder about this, especially this year when the Tigers are a 3 seed in this thing. They have you feel like locked up a national seed. There's still a little bit of skepticism there, I guess. How do you approach an SEC tournament when you kind of not necessarily have locked up your seeding, but
they're a top 8 seed. There's no reason they shouldn't be. They've earned it. They've played great all season. They had a couple series that didn't go their way, literally a couple. And so there's no doubt in my mind that they're a top 8 seed and that they'll play like a top 8 seed, and they have all year. And so the way you kind of approach that, the way I know that Jay's going to approach it is he's going to win the tournament. He's always, since he's gotten here, he's wanted to win an SEC championship. He's wanted to win the regular season, the tournament, and Omaha in the same year. So I know he wants to win that tournament bad. And this year, with the new format, it turns into a regular series weekend for them. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and let's sweep this thing and go home champions. Because that's what they'll be. They'll be champions. They'll get a ring, and that's the way they're going to approach it. Now, pitching wise, it gets a little interesting because that you kind of got to worry about next week a little bit. Who's coming into Alex Box? What does that Friday team look like? What does that Saturday team look like? So, something they may do is we did this in the past where you may see Kate Anderson and Ianson pitch both on Friday.
Oh, okay.
This week. That's just a
so in the tournament opener.
In the tournament opener, because being that they're both lefty righty, if whoever comes to Alex Box, for a regional, of those three teams, you're going to play that 4 seed. What if they're a good team, a good lefty team for a good lefty matchup? They'll go Kate. And then the next day you're going to get your better team most likely, so you'll go Ianson. It's just kind of how they'll play it up, and they may not do that. They may go out there and say, "Hey, Cade, you got the ball. Let's rock and roll." Yeah. And then Ianson on Saturday, and then mix it up with Case and short, the kitchen sink on Sunday.
Right.
It just depends how Jay wants to play it, and he's good at it. He's good at managing pitching. He has been for as long as I've known him. And so I think that's how they'll approach it. But they're going to win. They're going to win that tournament.
Okay,
no doubt.
I think a lot of fans wonder about that. They've already had so much success this year. How much do they really care about winning an SEC tournament? And that's like all sports, like basketball.
Yeah, it's the truth.
Yeah, because usually you've got a resume that's built up enough to where it doesn't really matter what you do at this tournament. Right. You care more about the NCAA tournament. Of course, Jay does as well. But it's interesting that you say that he's really wanted to win that SEC tournament, and he hasn't yet, right?
He hasn't yet. And I think LSU hasn't won since 2017.
Okay.
I think they beat Florida. No, they didn't beat Florida. They beat somebody in the SEC tournament in 2017 and then lost in Omaha that same year. So it's been a long time since LSU's won. And I know he wants to reclaim that title as the best team in the SEC. And even going into a regional and a super regional and then Omaha with that under your belt, it's like, man, this team can perform well under pressure, can play well in front of crowds, big crowds. And that's just the sign of a good team. And so it's a great atmosphere overall, and they're going there to win it. Ain't no doubt about it.
Looking forward to it. It's single elimination this year, so that's right. A little bit different. I'll be curious to see how many LSU fans go. I'm sure it'll be packed.
It'll be packed. I think I saw a tweet the other day of Tuesday. They were the first tent up was an LSU tent.
Yeah. I saw
Don't play till Friday. They got the booze out, the liquor out. As LSU is well known for.
Yeah, that's LSU when it comes to May and you hope June. It spills into June.
That's right.
So we'll get back to that. A little more on you though. So you pitched a little bit in Hoover, really turned it on late in the season. I think before that tournament though, you hadn't pitched for a couple weeks. So what was it like getting the opportunity to get out there in a big spot?
I think it had been a couple weeks since I'd thrown, and I think I came in, and that's actually in that South Carolina game, and threw a couple shutout innings while we were down. We were still down. I don't know, maybe 9-6.
It was crazy, wasn't it? Like 9-0 or 8-0 to start.
Yeah, it was 9-1.
9-1. Yeah,
we were down 9-1, and we kind of started chipping, and then it got to like 9-5, 9-6. Went in for two or three innings against South Carolina, put up some zeros, and that kind of started me on the track of like, ooh, this feels good. Like I was feeling good. Everything was coming out right, and putting up zeros and bagels on the board is that's the name of the game. So it felt good to get out there. And Hoover, like as I said, the atmosphere there. I mean, especially for that that game and the ones after that. I mean, unbelievable. Just the atmosphere from LSU fans. And the coolest part about Hoover is, let's say you got LSU and South Carolina playing. You got Kentucky fans, you got Texas fans, you got
everybody's there.
Yeah, everybody's going to be there, and so it makes it a really unique atmosphere, unlike any other place. It really does almost feel like you're playing at Alex Box, though, with the amount of support that's always there, and it's been there every year. Every year I was there, and so, yeah, man, it was a lot of fun to get on that hot streak for myself. Kind of start feeling it, start feeling the ball come out right, start feeling things just starting to add up a little better than they had during the season, and paid off in the end.
Is it something about when the calendar flips to May that things just work out like that as a pitcher?
Sometimes, sometimes, and I pitched a good bit in little spots, during the season for a couple outs at a time, got some big outs or whatever, but there's something about, like, man, for me, like, that was it. I wasn't, going on to play professional baseball wasn't really in my path, just for myself. And so maybe, now that I'm looking back at it, as we're sitting here talking, maybe as I look back at it now, maybe when that calendar turned to May and possibly that, June, hey man, this is it. Let's kind of ramp things up and get ready to rock and roll, because this is your last ride. And so, as a thought of myself, that's probably honestly what happened. Yeah, realistically. And so, yeah, it was a special thing for me to be able to go out like that. Have those last couple weeks like that in the SEC tournament, and then in Chapel Hill, definitely.
Well, let's get into that, because I feel like when people think of the name Will Hellmers, that's now what they'll think of.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah,
it doesn't bother me.
At least it's not like a low light play.
Hey, exactly.
That's a really good
I can handle that.
good memory, for everybody to have.
Absolutely.
To associate with your last name, I think. Yeah,
especially, good one for me too.
Mm-hmm.
Good one for me too. That was a fun time. And obviously, like, strike away or whatever, but
from 6.
Yeah. So, it's baseball's a fun game. It's a game of failure. I've learned that too many times, but you just keep grinding through it, and then it always ends up your way.
Mm-hmm.
If you stay committed to yourself and to your process and who you are as a player, not only as a player but also as a person and a teammate. And that's kind of how I went about my 4 years at LSU, was being the best teammate possible, and things just end up going your way in the end.
Yeah, you get rewarded in the end.
Yeah, you get rewarded. Absolutely.
For those that don't remember, the last appearance of his career was technically your best. You probably agree it was your best.
That was my career best.
Yeah, career high, 5
career
2/3
Yep.
against UNC in that winner-take-all game. No runs, 2 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. And that was on a day where there really wasn't a lot of gas left in the tank, right? A lot of the pitching had been depleted.
Yeah.
I think Sam Dutton started that game.
That's right.
And boy, he's having a great year this year.
Talk about.
I don't think he recorded a single out when he started that game. So it put you all way behind the 8 ball.
He came in, I think he got maybe 1 out in the inning, and then Javen Coleman came in and got out of the inning, started the next inning, and then the wheels started coming off.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jay had actually told me before the game, he was like, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to try and get Sammy and Javen through the first round of the lineup. So that's basically 3 innings, you hope. And then it's on you. He kind of told me that before the game. He's like, look, I'm just going to let you ride and see what happens. There's not much juice left in that pen. And we're going to give it our best, just trying to get everybody out there we can and match up how we want to. But so it kind of started falling off in that second. And I was like, he kind of sent me down to the pen in the first. I was like, here we go. I don't even remember the score. I think it was 2-0 when I came in the game.
Yeah, it was still pretty close.
Yeah, 2-1. And so got out of that one and then kind of just started to get in the groove. Like I said, that was going to be it for me if we lost. And so that was definitely on my mind, going through that whole game, whatever that 6 innings, whatever it was, going through that's on your mind. Like, hey, this could be it. Don't let it be it. And so, unfortunately, it was. But that's baseball. That's how things roll. That's how life rolls. But talk about a fun game. For myself and throughout my career, going out like that, going out with a bang was just really, really special for me. For myself and, even for my family and teammates. And it was always, as I look back at it now, it's just really, really special. So.
What was going through your mind as you were putting up those bagels?
Man, the bagels.
Just over and over again.
Man, so the bagel comes from freshman year. Alan Dunn.
Okay.
Um,
Some people say donuts.
Just
I
donuts,
like
bagels,
So, yeah.
all the same. But AD would go, man, you got to get them bagels. Get a bagel on the board. Get a bagel on the board. All that kind of stuff. And so that's always stuck. That's just the backstory behind the bagel.
Sure.
But, that's the goal of being a pitcher. If you're going out to start an inning, you want a bagel on the board. I don't care how you get there. I don't care, what happens throughout that inning. As long as you come out of the inning with a bagel on the board, to me, that's a win. And to a lot, that's the same way a lot of coaches treat it. And obviously, you don't want to go out there and walk dudes and fill up, don't fill up the zone and, give up hits and stuff. But as long as you come out of that inning and keep, piecing those innings together, piecing those bagels together, you got a great chance. And we had a great chance that game. Offense was just moving slow, like you said, like a lot of, not much gas left in the tank, in the pen, even at the plate. We had played probably almost the most amount of games possible in a regional, and that's a lot of wear and tear because that was a Monday game.
Yeah,
if I believe.
I think it was.
Yeah,
I
it was
think
a
y'all
Monday
had played. That was your fifth game.
Yeah,
of the
fifth
regional
game.
I think
That would be the fifth one.
Because you had to come out of the elimination side of the bracket and then beat North Carolina twice in a row.
That's right.
Whew.
Tough feat.
Yeah.
But that was a fun regional. It reminds me a lot of my freshman year. We went to Oregon. First game of the tournament, we lost to an unbelievable, pitcher from Gonzaga. Just was a dude who kind of threw sidearm, 85, had 18 different pitches and all that different stuff. And totally, I think he no-hit us with Coach Mainieri, and we were like, oh, my God, we got to come back all the way and then beat Oregon twice, most likely. And we did it. We kind of navigated through that whole, thing and came out on the other side and then went to Tennessee and lost in the Supers. But, it reminded me a lot of that team and that instance that we definitely had an awesome chance to do. We had a great team last year.
Yeah.
We really did.
We started the year ranked second in the country.
Yeah, started second in the country and then quickly fell down. I think we started 1-9 or 1
in SEC play. Yeah, because y'all cruised through the non-conference.
Yeah, cruised through non-conference and then started 2-10 in the SEC.
Yeah,
which is like, whew, for LSU fans, that's knife in the heart. Which is as it should be. No, you don't want to start the year like that. And actually, my freshman year we started 1-9 in SEC play, and then ended up you end up in a super regional. Mm-hmm. I think in 2017, similar. It just happens. It happens, and this team this year has, really, really, really great chance. They've got their pitching lined up. Their offense seems like it's starting to take a little bit more shape to score more runs. They got a real chance, and they play really, really well together. That's one thing that I've noticed, and that can really make a team. If they play well together and have good character with each other and good chemistry with each other, it can change your whole season. It really can. And you get some teams that don't have the best chemistry, and it's just part of baseball. You get guys. It's a locker room sport. And so you get certain guys that sometimes they don't fit into that locker room, and it can be different cancers to the team. And what I'm seeing from them this year, and I know them, I've gotten to know them pretty well, even the new guys. There's none of that going on. They have a great locker room. They have great chemistry. They all play for each other. They don't play for themselves. In today's game, where it's a lot more about yourself now, they don't. Which is great, and that's great to see. And LSU fans should be extremely excited to hear that because only great things happen when that's the case. Only great things. So it's exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing how they do in this SEC tournament, and then in a regional and a super regional at the box. It's hard to lose. It's hard to lose as an LSU team. So it'll be awesome. It'll be awesome.
Yeah, y'all were so close to hosting West Virginia last year, I think.
Yeah,
and everybody was like, there's no way they're going to lose if they make it back for a super at the box,
We, because, I think about it, that was predetermined before we played that game.
Yeah, because I think Arizona had lost
on Sunday. And so we were like, oh, my gosh, we can beat West Virginia. We got Holman and Jump, and we only need 2 games.
Yep.
And so we were like, man, we could get to Omaha. So it was on everybody's mind, and then obviously UNC, swept them clean, West Virginia. And, baseball, man. Baseball's tough.
In an alternate universe,
yeah,
it worked out that way.
Exactly.
Last thing I want to ask about your career is just, you came in as a freshman. You were kind of like the midweek starter, right? And occasional bullpen guy, kind of like Cade Anderson was last year.
Right.
And you had some injury you dealt with, right, and things of that nature. So ending your career the way you did it kind of fulfill your whole journey, or have you leaving on a good note?
Absolutely, absolutely. Like you said, came in and actually played third base. Started at third base, and made probably like 400 errors in 2 games.
It's a hard position. Did you play that in high school? Or?
I played a little bit my sophomore year in high school, and then fresh out of the gate, a week before the season, was thrown into the fire.
So you had been pitching in the fall and then the spring?
I was pitching in the fall and the spring before the season, but wasn't playing a position. I was hitting, but wasn't playing a position. And so Coach Mainieri had gone to me. No, we were struggling at third base. Like, Jordan Thompson was struggling bad. We had Dylan Cruz taking ground balls at third. We didn't know what was going on. And so he kind of came up to me, and he was, like, hey, we need somebody to play third. Have you ever played third? And I was like, yeah, I'd be happy to take some ground balls. Of course, that day, when I'm taking ground balls, I look like Alex Rodriguez, taking grounders or whatever. And so he's like, oh, wow, he's great. And so next day, get COVID. So that was the time with COVID, you're out for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Out for 2 weeks. And so I come back with a week before the season, and he's like, look, you're going to be our starting third baseman. I was like, all right, Coach, I'll do it. Let's make it happen. And so did that whole week, ground balls, hitting, doing it all, and just it didn't work out. So I started – it's interesting. I heard from a lot of people after, what happened in North Carolina last year. It's like, man, this guy, you started out probably the worst that anybody's ever started at LSU, and you finished, on top of the mountain. And so for me, that's a big thing. And then, like you said, along the way, I pitched a lot my freshman year. I don't remember 50 or 55 innings just through midweeks. I started every midweek game.
18 games, 9 starts, about 40 innings. It says. Yeah.
So I started all but 2 midweek games for Coach Mainieri, and he kept running me out there. And then I'd pitch out of the pen on Sunday or Saturday if I didn't throw a lot of pitches. And then the next 2 years were kind of injury ridden with elbow, shoulder, whatever it was. Yeah. And just it's a tough sport on the arm, especially as a pitcher. So going out, like I did my senior year, absolutely, it was very, very fulfilling. And just if when you think about going out, that's the way you want to go out.
Yeah.
Even if it does mean it was a loss, going out like that was just special to me, and special to a lot of people along the way, because it started horrible, and then you go out like that, and it's very, very rewarding, really rewarding, and it just feels good. Yeah. Even to this day, still does. Even though I'm watching through the fence, these days, it just feels good to know that's how it went out.
Yeah, it's like closure, a
Yeah,
little bit.
exactly.
So.
Exactly. Closure.
I was happy for you. I think everybody that was watching
it,
was really happy for
appreciate
you.
It.
You just like to see people get what you feel like they deserve.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you were kind of the glue guy of the team that year. You gave the motivational speeches and kind of held everybody together.
Yeah.
What'd you like about that role? Did you kind of take that yourself, or did people kind of push you into that?
No. So I started doing all the speeches. That was the year we won Omaha. So 2 years ago, Cade Beloso had blown out his knee. The year before, I guess that was so my sophomore year, Cade Beloso was doing a pregame speech, blew out his knee, and was out the whole year.
Dang.
And so we decided we didn't do any pregame speeches that year, and so we come back that 2020, the national championship year, beginning of the season. We're kind of like, what are we gonna like? We got to do something. And so I kind of stepped up. And I'm really not that guy. Like I never was. You can ask anybody I grew up with. You can ask my parents, friends, whoever. That's really not me. And so I kind of just stepped up into the huddle and did something just quick and kind of just it caught on. And so that whole year I did it, and then obviously last year too. And I kind of got into it like a lot, like big time. Started doing all the movie speeches, Braveheart, 300, whatever you could possibly think of. Well, I got a list on my phone about 2 pages worth long of a legal size sheet of paper probably of just scripts of different stuff that I would memorize and still have memorized to this day.
Wow.
And so it's funny, they actually before the Friday thriller against Tennessee this year, I can't remember who's asking me, Milo. He's like, dude, you gotta get in here. You gotta get in here and do something. I was like, all right, man. So I ripped out an old Braveheart speech for him, the freedom speech, and pushed him on to victory early in the morning.
So you went into the dugout before the game?
Sure did.
And did the speech in the.
It did.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Fun stuff.
How about
Fun
that?
stuff. I think I even ripped my shirt off. So,
Really?
Oh, yeah.
We can't see that because the guys all huddle around you in the dugout.
That's the point. That's the point.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, man. It's not for everybody else. For the team, baby.
Yeah, yeah.
For the team. So, I mean, I really, really enjoyed having that role. And wasn't me growing up. Like, I wasn't the loud guy. I was a leader, but I didn't really lead with my words. I kind of led by example more. And so to kind of step into that role where every game you're kind of in some way, you're getting guys together, you're getting the team to come together, whether it's through laughing or like, hey, we're going to get somebody. And, just that's kind of, the way I kind of took leadership. And then, obviously last year it was me, myself, Hayden, and Alex. We were the oldest on the team. And kind of took that leadership role and into another level. While still doing all the fun stuff, all the speeches, and we had a great, leadership last year. And that's one thing about the team this year that's interesting. There's not a whole lot of older presence besides, Josh Pearson's the oldest on the team. It's his 4th year, and he's a great leader. And you get Gavin Guidry, you get guys a lot of guys who are there who've won a national championship, Jay Shores, Jared Jones, like all those guys, Guidry. And so there's a lot of good assets on that team that know how to lead and have done a great job. I've talked to the coaches and even, some of the new players, and they're doing a great job leading and pushing others to be better and come together as a team. That's what it's all about.
Well, that team just went on the road and beat South Carolina in 2 out of 3, where Paul Mainieri is now the coach.
That's right.
Is that weird at all, seeing him over there?
A little strange seeing him in maroon or whatever, maroon and black. I guess that's the Gamecock color.
Garnet, is it?
You know better than me. I could care less.
You don't care. I care about the purple and gold.
I could care
right?
less, man. But, it's good. It's a little weird seeing him over there. It was a little kind of a strange deal. I'm happy for him. I'm happy he's back into coaching. He's feeling better, and I think he could do great things over there. Honestly, Coach Mainieri's a great coach, and he treated me with the utmost respect, and really helped me along my baseball journey. And so I'd give everything to him if I could. I'm really, really happy for him. Obviously, not the season he wanted, which is always a tough job. Going into a new place, nobody a coaching staff that you got to put together really, really quick, and even a team you got to put together quickly with the transfer portal and NIL. That's a tough spot to be in as a coach who's a little older. He's going to have a tougher time connecting to the younger generation nowadays, especially with the NIL and transfer portal. And so I think next year is going to be his best year. It happened when he came to LSU. He struggled his first year pretty significantly, and then the next year in 2009, you win a national championship. And so who knows? I'm happy for Coach Mainieri, and it's great. I don't like South Carolina, but hey, go Tigers.
Right.
Go
Interesting
Tigers.
point. I guess we'll see how year 2 goes. Year 1 just wrapped up for him.
That's right.
My boss does a really good impression of Paul Mainieri. Do you have one?
Oh, dude, you get me in trouble. I don't know what I.
You don't have to.
No. I can care less. I have a pretty good one. I don't know what I should say. Most of them involve cursing.
Oh yeah.
And yelling at people. What can I say? when he told me, so I told the third base story earlier on, and so I come back after, those 2 weeks of COVID, and he calls me and he's like, "Hey, Will, I want you to come meet me in my office. I think we've got this thing figured out. It's gonna go our way. I just know it." And so I go into his office, and so you got Coach Mainieri, Alan Dunn, Nolan Kane, Eddie Smith sitting there. 4 coaches: hitting coach, recruiting, pitching, and head coach. Yeah. And so Coach Mainieri goes, "Hey, Will, I hope you're feeling better. I know you're, the COVID, it's no good. I'm really sorry you had to have that. But we're really, really excited about this new opportunity. You're going to be our opening day starter at third base against Air Force. And really excited about it. Let's go out there and take some ground balls." I was like, "All right, Coach, let's do it." And obviously it didn't. This is even funnier. It didn't go my way. Yeah. And so he actually pulled me out in the middle of the second game in like the 7th or the 8th inning. He's like, put Jordan Thompson in. He comes up to me and goes, in the middle of the dugout, while the game's going on, he goes, "Will, I'm just so sorry. I can't believe I put you in that position, and I really apologize. That's not on you, it's on me. I apologize." And that's just, Coach. That's just his impression. But Coach Mainieri is a great person. I have the utmost respect for him and everything. He's, obviously has the reputation of having a little bit of a high-pitched voice, but great guy. Yeah. All around, great coach, great person. Can't say enough good things about him. Yeah. So.
Thanks. That was funny.
Good, man. Who's next? Skip. We're doing a Skip Bertman next.
Do you have one of Skip?
I mean, look,
I know you didn't play for him.
We talked to him enough.
Yeah.
We've got the, baseball. Sometimes it's not about the player you are. It's a little bit more about luck. Some of you guys will go on to be professional baseball players. Maybe one of you. Maybe. You really aren't that good, but maybe one of you. The rest of you will be doctors and lawyers and hopefully not any teachers in here, but for that one person, Paul Skeens, if you do make it to the pros, actually not Paul Skeens because you're going to make it. Dylan, you'll make it too, but the rest of you probably won't. So, good luck in school.
He actually said that?
Something along those lines, man. Something along those lines. Typical Skip, sharp as a tack, I've gotten to chat it up and, talk to Skip a ton about anything, whether it was LSU or baseball or his former, players and coaches that he had on his rosters. And even to this day, he's, obviously getting older, but he is sharp as sharp can be. I mean, when you talk in baseball or anything about any one of his former players, he can, knock it off down a list. What they're doing, what's going on with them. Specific plays. He's just this really, really special human being, and a once in a lifetime kind of person and coach. Obviously, the best coach in college baseball history, and he has the best sense of humor, and he did while he was coaching. I've talked to a lot of his former players. Like, man, it's just hard to beat. It's obviously like, it's not your fault. It's my fault for recruiting you.
I've heard some of those. Yes.
That kind of essence of who he was still is to this day. Yeah. But while he was a coach, just a special person and coach.
Did you ever have a chance to meet his wife, Nancy?
Yeah. Just along the way, she would, pop in through the field sometimes at practice. Well, she'd sit in the stands, and Skip would be out riding around in the golf cart in the field, kind of watching us or whatever. But she was a wonderful, wonderful lady. And I got to just briefly meet her one time and, exchange hellos and names. But from what I've heard from everybody that's ever run across her, she was even more special than Skip. Yeah. And so sad to see her pass away. But, just knowing that she was a wonderful, wonderful person is, two wonderful people. And so special, really special.
Definitely wanted to give her a mention.
Yeah,
certainly thoughts and
absolutely.
prayers with the family, because she kind of she was extremely important in holding everything together. Because
Absolutely.
being a baseball coach, especially when you're like Skip, and you're as intense as he was and whatnot. Someone's got to take care of the kids, right, and things of that nature. So
she was the glue.
Exactly,
she was the glue.
Exactly.
And even for, I'm sure a lot of those teams when they was really starting to build up LSU, I don't know personally, but I'm sure she was, played a big role.
No doubt.
In Skip's life, absolutely. But I'm sure in some of those players' life in some way, like building up that program is not easy. It wasn't easy. There's no way it was. Painting the walls and all that kind of stuff into what it is today, the cathedral of college baseball. There's not many people. There's only one person that could do that, and it's him.
Yeah.
Only one person. So.
And now Jay Johnson's trying to continue it.
That's
I know
right.
those two talk a lot, Skip and Jay. So you were here for the final year of Mainieri, right? 21.
That's right.
And you were also here for the first year of Coach Johnson.
That's right.
So what made you want to stay? Because sometimes when there's a coaching change, you might want to go somewhere else. Let's start with that.
Look, man, I'm all about loyalty. And from when I committed to LSU, I wasn't leaving. And we, obviously the transfer portal, it was easy to leave. And it was even easier probably to leave when you weren't playing or weren't pitching. Like realistically, I didn't pitch a lot sophomore and junior year. But to me, like having that sense of loyalty of I was a Tiger and I was going to be a Tiger for life. Whenever I finished. And so when I committed, it was I'm a Tiger through and through until the end. No matter transfer, if I'm playing or not playing, that's just how I was raised and how I was taught and. That's what I did, and that's the best explanation that I have for it. In a game that's not so much about it anymore, or an atmosphere that college baseball is not about that much anymore, which is unfortunate. Because when you look at some of the best teams in college baseball, like Skip's teams, those were Tigers, man.
Yeah.
Like they played, with the heart of a Tiger and purple and gold. That was them, and that's still them today. And they had that sense of loyalty. They had that sense of, like, this is my team, this is where I belong, and I'm going to stick it out, whether I'm riding the pine or whether I'm, the starting the Friday night guy.
Yeah.
And so just the sense of loyalty, that's what, that's how I was raised, man. So just sticking it out and sticking through it is really, really important.
And I'm sure the first time you met Coach Johnson, he gave you a lot of reasons to want to stay. Like, what were your first impressions of him? And did you think that he could be a guy that could lead this program to a national championship in just 2 years?
I mean, he's like Nick Saban. Seriously. I don't know how Nick Saban coached or when it, every day in and day out with practices and schedules and stuff. But from that first moment, I met Jay, it was all, down to the wire, like focused. Seriously focused on winning another national championship. He grew up watching Skip, and he wanted to model. He has modeled his coaching after Skip, even while he was at Arizona, and had some great success at Arizona. And then comes here, and it's like a different world for him. And I think when he kind of took over that job, that was his dream. And he's told me that multiple times, and told the team that multiple times. It's his dream to be here, and he's going to make it the best. This is the last place he'll be. I can almost guarantee it. He wants to be the Nick Saban of college, or he wants to be the next Skip Bertman, and continue to win championships and create, the winningest program, which it already is, and continue that legacy of we win championships here. And so he's the right guy for the job here, and I don't know many people that doubt him. Man, he's special in his own way. Extremely, extremely focused baseball-wise. That dude's at the field. I hate even thinking about it. Poor Miss Maureen, his wife, but he's focused and is totally, totally committed to LSU and the LSU baseball program first. But then those players are like his, they're like children to him. They are. And he treats them like that, and he treated us like that. Well, those 3 years I was with him. And it really, really helps that you have somebody that you can really respect, leading your ship. Being the captain of your ship is, when you got somebody like that who's running the show, it's easy to play for a guy like that. Really is. Really, really is.
Some people question if he sleeps.
Oh,
you guys probably do too.
He's got a futon in that office.
Yeah.
He does. I know he slept on that couch before. But, yeah, there's a lot of times I question what he was, we lose a tough game late. That sucker's cars are there early.
Oh, yeah.
Early. So
there have been a few times where I've left the ballpark and the car hasn't been there.
Oh, yeah. It's always
there.
If you're there, he's there.
Yeah, no doubt.
Pretty much.
So I guess let's move into this year's team.
Yeah.
We've kind of touched on it a little bit, but some of these guys, having played with them and being around them this year and stuff like that. I guess with the pitching staff, Cade and Anthony have been a great 1-2, kind of like Gage and Luke last year, and that's extremely valuable when you get into these postseason settings, right?
I mean, that's for them, and they're pitching their best right now, especially Anthony and Cade as well. They're playing and pitching their best right now, which is all you can ask for as a coach and as a teammate. Like, man, if these guys can really get that's the best 1-2 punch that I've seen in a long time. They're both great pitchers, and they fill up the zone and have command of 4 pitches and compete out there and don't get too ahead of themselves emotionally or mentally. They both have strong mental games. You can see it. They're both confident in themselves. They both want to win, and they go out there every time wanting to win. And then on top of that, you get lefty and then righty, and then it's like, what do we do as a team? That's a huge philosophy that Jay has. He wants a team to walk in, when they leave Alex box in a weekend series, he wants a team to go, what the hell just happened? We literally couldn't do anything. Like, they just went lefty, righty, homer, double, bunt, squeeze, double squeeze, whatever it is. That's his philosophy. It's like, what the hell just happened? He wants a team to say that when they leave Alex box. And he does that all the time. And, this team is a great explanation of that philosophy exactly. They got some dudes that can run. They got some dudes that can shove it down people's throats, from the mound. And then they get guys that can come in there for 1 out, 2 outs. They got it all. And they got a really, really, really great chance to go through a regional and super regional in 5 games, I think. Because, that 1-2 punch is crucial for this time of the year, like you said, especially when you get to that super regional. Man, if you can win that Friday game, it's hard. It's going to be extremely, extremely hard for a team, I don't care who they are, to come back and win 2 at Alex box.
That's the other thing.
In a super regional setting. I don't care who they are. I don't care if it's Tennessee, whoever. It could be the Yankees. It's going to be hard to beat LSU 2 games in a row in the super regional at the box when everybody's waiting to go to Omaha.
That's what everyone's hoping for, is that they get that top 8 and then they host the first 2 rounds, because they've been a different team, it seems like. Home versus away.
Right. So and they've absolutely struggled with it. There's no question about it. You can just look at it specifically, statistically. They've struggled very, very significantly on the road. And I'll actually be interested to see how they play in Hoover this weekend. It's on the road, technically, but it's also an environment that, say they don't get that top 8 seed, they will. But say they don't get the top 8 seed, you're still going to get, wherever you are in the country going, you're going to get a huge fan base of LSU people. And Hoover kind of does that itself. And so I really like to see how they'll play Friday. And then, on top of that, they just played great at South Carolina. Now, granted, South Carolina didn't have anybody in the stands and whatever, but their season was over before that, that weekend started. And so I know they played well there, but
level of competition.
The level of competition and the fans and stuff. Just in my personal opinion, that they're going to be playing 2 places the rest of the season, aside from Hoover, is Alex box and Omaha. It's just, that's the way it's go. They've earned it. They've proved it. And just in my personal opinion, and I know that Jay's opinion too. I'm sure he said that publicly, like, hey, we deserve to be a top 8 seed.
Yeah, he did.
And usually when he's saying that, it happens. So at least my experience with, the past 3 years, like, hey, we're not going to be a top 8 seed. We are going to be a top 8 seed. We're not going to host. And usually right. Usually the coach is right.
He's got a good feel for it.
Yeah, he's got a good nod.
He's been through this a few times.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Who do you think's the X factor on the pitching staff? Who do you think's the guy that could do something like you did last year and step up in a big spot and just for really no explanation at all, just go off?
Hey, that's one of the coolest things about it is, like, I don't know, and nobody does.
Yeah,
nobody does, and it could be. So you got 4 guys right now who are shoving it up guys' throats.
Anderson, Evans. Cowan's kind of been up and down lately, but he's a first
guy.
team All SEC.
Yeah, he's a dude.
So
he has a 2.3 ERA, whatever it is. He's a dude. He's one of those 4 that have just day in and day out performance after performance just performed. He's just a competitor, that kind of thing, and he throws in one of the most disgusting changeups I've seen from a college arm. He's a competitor. He's a guy that's going out there to win, and he'll do fine, especially in Hoover. He's never played in that environment before. He's going to have some adrenaline. He's going to pitch well.
You remember him from last year too, right? Because he was in Chapel
He's hard
Hill.
to forget.
Yeah.
Y'all
didn't face him, I don't think,
no,
but he was there.
But he threw that game that went. I don't know. I think he threw like 1,000 pitches in a weekend for them last year.
That was his role.
They won their first NCAA game.
Yeah.
Or regional game in the program history, which is good for them.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't know who it's going to be. It could be somebody who's pitched a good bit. Maybe it's Maverick Rizzi, who just finds himself like magically. Maybe it's a guy like Cooper Williams.
Mm-hmm.
I could see it being him. A freshman who's had some really great performances along the way his freshman year and fills up the zone constantly. Maybe they get into a spot where, say they're in a super and they win Friday, lose Saturday, Sunday, and they're kind of running out of arms. They had to use a few more than they thought for those 2 games, and he comes in and shoves it. And that's the coolest part about baseball. Literally anybody can beat anybody. Wofford can beat LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever can beat whoever. That's one of the most amazing things about baseball. It doesn't matter how much talent you have.
Yeah.
Somebody can come out there with a gritty mindset and a want-to-win attitude and beat you silly. It's the truth, and it's happened to us. Like, we got no hit by Nichols. Like, what in the world?
Yeah.
Like, as an LSU fan, they're like, oh my god.
Well,
the season's over.
What they don't understand is that it's a 56-game season.
Exactly. 56-game playoff.
Some of them, not all of them.
That's right.
Yeah.
But that's just that's what's so unique about baseball as opposed to a lot of other sports. Talent can win any game in a lot of other sports, but baseball becomes such a mental game from every aspect, whether it's on the mound or in the batter's box or sitting the bench. Like, it's such a mental. There's so many different things to think about and things that can take you down the wrong road. But if you can learn how to overcome those things and be mentally strong, not only as a player but as a team, you're unstoppable.
Yeah.
That's just that's the way it is, and that's why baseball is so unique. And that's why it's still so competitive at the college level. College baseball is obviously a huge deal. All college sports are, as opposed to professional sports, which and have kind of lost that competitive edge a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's turned into who's making the most money, that
exactly.
kind of thing.
Exactly.
And so college sports still has that essence of competitiveness, which is great. It's great.
Baseball does, at least. That's why it's kind of my favorite of the sports for the guys, at least. Because basketball guys are making big money.
Dude.
Football guys are making big money. You guys, you're making money through deals and stuff, but a lot of that goes to scholarships and stuff, right? Because you only get 11.7 of them or whatever
until next year.
So
it is.
nobody knows what's happening next year.
Right, exactly. The whole NIL thing, like, man, it's great. I love it. it's got to be controlled, though.
Yeah, I think they're getting to it.
Yeah, they are,
Yeah.
and they'll get to it, and it should have been controlled from the start. And it's just you look back on things that's, a lot of guys are making big money, like football, basketball, and that's like you said, like baseball still, it's pretty minute for the most part.
Because there's not a ton of money in it.
Yeah, there's not. Like most schools aren't making money through baseball except LSU,
right?
Which is great. Like that's if you want to play baseball, go to LSU.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody out there listening or recruit, go to LSU. You have the best fan base, the best coaches, and everybody's behind you. I don't care if you're making money or not. You got the best chance to win a championship here. So.
Well, it just seems like you guys really care about the program and where you're playing and the tradition, and not so much about I'm making $3 million here versus $2 million there. I'm going to take the $3 million, and I don't really care.
Yeah. That's unfortunately what it's turning into. But hey, let's keep baseball on the right path.
No, I think it is.
Yeah, I think it is too. So
Chase Shores, pretty well.
Yeah.
You were teammates with him,
Yep.
and he started the year as their Game 3 guy.
That's right.
Kind of had some struggles. Obviously, he's coming off of Tommy John, and that's difficult. He missed a whole year. This new role he's found, though, out of the bullpen, he's looked really good lately. How have you seen him embrace that?
I mean, so his freshman year, that's kind of where he started, and he really had some success until he, went out. And so there's part of me that, always thought like Chase has got the stuff. He's got a big league body. He's got a big league build. He's got big league stuff on his fastball. He's, all of it. He's built to be a big leaguer. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of experience. Sometimes it takes a little bit of failure to get to that point. And so, maybe, and he had a lot to overcome, like you said. Tommy John's not easy, and his took a kind of a normal amount of time to get really back into the swing of things, a little longer than a year.
Because that was in late March that he initially got hurt.
Yeah.
And then last year there were some rumblings, I remember, that he might pitch in Omaha if y'all made it.
Right, and he probably could have, but there's no, for him, as, I would think personally for him, like, there's no point in stressing his body to do that. He knows he's going to come back next year. And this is his best year to get drafted as a player.
Redshirt sophomore, I think he is.
Correct,
right? So.
yeah. And he was a draft-eligible sophomore.
Yeah.
And so, he obviously hasn't had the year he wanted probably to get drafted. But now with this new role that he's kind of found himself in, he's throwing the ball great, coming out of the pen. And, it, just from watching him start, those few opening games as the Sunday guy, and then you kind of look at that, and then you look at now, and you kind of, go back and forth on what you saw there, what you see now. Like, the confidence is the biggest thing that sticks out to me. Like, I can tell now he is confident. He's confident to throw strikes, get all his pitches in there for strikes, go at somebody, 3-1 count. He's still, like, in it. And I feel like that was missing a little bit maybe at the beginning of the season for him. And that just happens to everybody. It's baseball. It's tough. Failure's hard. And baseball is a game of failure. You have to learn how to fail if you're going to succeed in baseball, because you're failing most of the time, especially as a batter, even more as a pitcher.
Yeah.
And so, maybe he's, got a better mental game going on, or somebody is just pushing him a little bit more. Maybe that's what he needs. But I can definitely see a huge tick up in just about everything that was here that's here now, coming out of the pen for him. And I think that's another guy late down the stretch where, say you get into Omaha and has an Nate Ackenhausen type game, where it's like this dude just came out and threw 6 innings against North Carolina in Omaha and just shoved it up their tail. And so, because he can do it. There's no doubt in the world's mind that he's got the stuff to do it. He's got the fastball, slider, change. He's got everything to do it and perform at the highest level. It's just a matter of when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so I think, like, maybe he doesn't get drafted this year and comes back next year.
Right.
Which is that's his 3rd year pitching.
Yeah, and he's still got 2 more. In eligibility.
If he wants it, like, and for him, probably like I had said, not what he expected this year, probably, just realistically, not what he expected to do on the field. So maybe you take that, take your frustration and your whatever molded into what you got to do over the off season and then the summer before next season, and then you see what really happens with Chase Shores, and it's going to be amazing. And I've talked. Paul Skeens is a great friend of mine. Him and I are best friends.
Who's that?
Paul Skeens. Yeah. You don't know him? Never heard of him? Great friend of mine, and Paul and I talk all the time about Chase. Like, and Paul's seen it. Paul's seeing it day in and day out. Like, Chase is a big leaguer, and he tells me that all the time. I'm like, dude, like, I know it. It's just a matter of, like, how do you get him there? Mm-hmm. And so, I think, like I said, like, experience is a huge role. He's still a young guy.
Oh, yeah.
Man, he's 21 years old or whatever, and he's still learning. Mm-hmm. You learn as you go, especially in baseball, and you face better competition. You have your ups and downs and lefts and rights and all of it. And so just navigating through all those things is going to make him a better player and person just throughout it. And he'll be a big leaguer. I know it. Like, he's got a great head on his shoulders and an even better arm. So he's got everything it takes, and I think it's going to break out here soon, hopefully soon.
Yeah, now would be a pretty good time. They'll likely need that.
Yeah,
so
you never lied.
A couple more for you. Thank you for your time. Thank you to
man.
Chuck as well, working the controls for us. Appreciate you guys. A lot to talk about,
Yeah, big time in the year.
Did you have a chance to host any of these younger guys, freshmen, on recruiting visits or anything like that, or kind of make early impressions of them?
I'm trying to think. There's a few, that they had come in, because sometimes they do like the official visit.
Yeah.
And they'll get guys. They'll come in the dugout for a scrimmage in the fall,
Mm-hmm.
and then go to. I think they went to an Arkansas game or a big football game.
Yeah.
They'll go to a big football game, and so I got to meet a few of them, and then a few of the transfers they kind of started doing over the summer right after I had graduated and finished at UNC last year.
They don't waste any time, right? Jay's on the phone immediately.
As soon as he was on the way back from North Carolina, he's dialing it up to get ready for next year. They don't waste time, and I think honestly, like we got back Tuesday. I think Thursday, Jay called me. He's like, "Hey, can you come to a dinner for a recruit?"
Wow.
Or a transfer guy. So things roll real fast, especially with Jay.
Did y'all get him?
I can't remember who it was exactly. It might have been.
It was a pitcher, probably.
It was a pitcher.
Yeah.
It was a pitcher. It might have been Cowan. Maybe, I don't know. Cowan, and then Devin Sheeran.
Yeah.
He was right after him, so we got him. I think they got most of who they wanted.
I feel like he doesn't miss very often. If he gets someone into BR, they don't leave without
they're not leaving.
Signature,
Yeah, and you talk to any recruit anybody that's ever played for Jay, and they'll say that he's the best recruiter around, or best, like when you come, you're not leaving, which is special. When you got a guy that's leading your program like that, dude, world is your oyster.
Yeah. Well, he said before, like, Cowan's coming on a visit. If we don't get him, you're all fired. That's a joke. But,
He's probably being serious.
Without being serious, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, like, Derek Curiel and Kason Evans, some of these guys, you maybe had a feeling that they'd be special early.
Oh, yeah. Well, especially Curiel. Like, from, that first game, a home opener in Alex Box, I'm sitting right there next to the dugout and just watching him, the way he kind of operates, even like in the on-deck circle or walking up, approaching the batter's box. He's a professional before anything else. Like before he gets into everything, he's just a professional about the way he goes about his business and the way he practices, the way he competes. Like even if you watch him in the batter's box, and I noticed this early, he's just very, very calm, cool, collected. And for a freshman, that's very rare. Like it is. Like, you get most guys that, early in the season aren't comfortable because they're in a new environment against a lot better competition, especially coming right out of high school. And he was just so comfortable and calm and had a lot of confidence and composure in himself, which obviously has paid off for him and paid off for this team. He's been a huge, huge asset to this team, leading off the best team in college baseball as a freshman. Like, that's a lucky guy to have. Glad he didn't, sign his life away to go to the draft.
He could have, but he
could
didn't.
have.
Same with Schmidt. Same with Evans.
Yeah.
Kate Aaron Beatty. They got a lot of guys.
Huge,
Yeah.
recruits coming out of high school. Like that's a big class. Those are probably those 4 guys are all first, second round guys, and so really, really great freshman class. And another great part about it is so those 4 guys you just mentioned, they're all playing at LSU, so they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
None of those guys are going anywhere because they have the job locked up for the next 3 years. Curiel does, Kason Evans does, Aaron Beatty does. Like all those guys, they want to be here too because they see what this can be. They see what LSU is, and they see, they can kind of see where it's going. And, God willing, they win a national championship this year. None of those guys are going anywhere, and that's a great group of core guys to lead the next 3 years that Jay has with him.
It's a good nucleus. And when you're
great.
saying that every year, this is the next nucleus.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a pretty good situation.
Seriously,
right?
man.
So that's how you stack them up and keep them rolling.
Exactly. Keep stacking. Just keep stacking.
Last one I got for you, and then
Come
if you
on.
want to, tell people how to keep up with you these days
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that at the end. Why do you think this team can win a national championship this season? Simple, straightforward.
To the point.
Yeah.
They have all the tools. From on the mound, I can tear it back more than that. From starting pitching to relief pitching to offensively to small ball to running to coaching. It's all there. It has been all season, and obviously LSU fans have seen a great flash of it at times. Like let's look at Tennessee. You win in 3 different ways, or 2 different ways, against a great team, a great offensive team, and great team on the mound. You win in a thriller, which shows your guys have composure, and then you beat the brains out of them. And so that's a lot of times, we did that in 2023 with the national championship team. We would, you'd win a 4-2 game against Ole Miss and then come out the next day and win 17-2. It's like, where was that? Where was that last night? Where was that last night? You can't do that every night in baseball. You just can't. It's not feasible because you don't know who's on the mound, all this different stuff. But to get back to the core question, they have it all. It's really just a matter of if they can perform at the highest level under the high stress. I think the talent's there. It has been all season. From starting pitching to relief pitching. The relief pitching is still kind of obviously on a lot of people's minds because our starting pitching is the best in the country right now. But the relief pitching kind of gets skewed a little, one way or the other because, it's tough. It's tough to come in and face guys in the middle of an inning. And you get guys that perform a lot, and then you can't perform every day. As a bullpen guy or relief pitcher. And so it's really, really just a matter of if they can execute. That's all baseball is execution to the highest level. That's Jay's thing. He tells them, day in and day out to, if you can execute, you can win games. No matter who you are. You can execute a squeeze bunt, you can win a game. If you can execute a fastball in the outside corner to a righty, you can win a game. And so it's all about execution. For them, executing every single little thing, all the little things that that line up, and so I think that's why they can win. They have all the talent. It's just a matter of if they can execute.
There you have it. That's probably the word he says the most.
Oh my
execution.
Gosh.
If not, I don't know, go Tigers or whatever.
Seriously.
Let's take our post-game photo.
Right. Exactly.
Helmers with the magic moment.
Exactly, man. Execution. That's what it's all about. It is, and he's right. It's you can execute, you can win ball games, no matter who you are.
Well, hopefully they can execute. Let's see, 3, and then 3.
6 games in a row,
and then 2 more be 8. And how many have to win in Omaha?
In Omaha,
5.
They went 5. Well, I don't know. I guess it's the same format. I believe it's 5 or 6 in Omaha.
Well, for now, we'll start with the SEC tournament. You hope they
man.
can execute 3 times, get that first title
That's right.
under Jay's regime here at LSU. SEC title, that is.
Yeah.
And roll into the postseason. So
Let's rock and roll, baby.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I know everybody else is. I know they are. We got a chance to talk to them the other day, and They're ready to roll. The team's ready to roll, and they're ready to win. They're going there to win. Not even from a coaching standpoint. I know Jay's ready to win, but they're ready to win a SEC championship.
Yeah.
So let's start there.
Yeah, it's a special team.
Let's start there. Absolutely.
It's been a great year, but you get remembered for what you do at this time of year.
That's right. Exactly.
40 some odd wins is nice, but can you get the remaining 12 or so?
Yeah, man.
In
That's
the
what it's all
postseason?
about.
Exactly.
What it's all about.
That's
It
what
all
separates good
leads
from great.
all leads to this point. It really does.
Anything else you want to talk about I didn't bring up?
Man,
We touch on it all?
I think we touched
Probably
on
a lot more we couldn't get to. Just don't want to take up your whole day.
I could
Gordon
spend
probably needs you.
I could spend all day here, but
Chuck's got other things to do, I'm sure.
Hey,
Yeah.
you got it, Chuck.
Thank you again, Chuck. Appreciate it.
Chuck's the man.
He is.
But no, man, I think we hit it all.
Cool.
We got some great points. I'm excited. I know everybody else is, and looking forward to it, brother.
You'll be in the
Looking
box,
forward.
assuming they host, and
wouldn't
you'll
miss
probably be in the dugout talking to him.
Hey,
right?
man, never know.
Cracking a Monster Energy open and
You never
wearing
know.
the backwards hat and stuff.
Oof.
Yeah.
You get me chills, bro.
Hey.
Ready to rip my shirt
2 weeks
off.
away, ish, or whatever.
Yeah, man.
And will you go to Omaha if they make it to Omaha?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Be there.
Awesome.
Wouldn't miss it. I'll probably have to get in the dugout.
Yeah.
Might need a pass.
Yeah, I'm sure they could take care of that.
Might need a
you
pass for some pregame speeches for him. So
They can take care of it.
yeah. We'll see what
And
happens.
how can people keep up with you now? Social media?
Social
and
media,
whatever?
same social media. Will Hellmers.
Cool.
Just look me up. I'm available. Come at me. Hit me up.
What do you hope to do? Like, do you have any career aspirations now? The baseball's over?
I want to stay close to sports. It's been such a big part of my life. I don't know how exactly I'd stay close to it. Coaching, maybe. I haven't really thought too much about it.
Well, Ben DePolt's doing that. He's
That's right,
He's a
yeah.
grad assistant.
Yeah, and I've talked to Ben a lot. He's loving it. And Ben has a coaching kind of mindset.
Yeah.
A little bit. He has ever since he was at LSU. So I think he's great for that position. Coaching maybe. I don't know. Just want to feel it out. Stay close to sports. Stay close to Baton Rouge and all these LSU fans, man.
Maybe you could do something like this.
Hey,
great in
never
front of
know.
the mic. Some
Never know.
excellent, intelligent answers today.
I appreciate
so,
that.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, brother.
absolutely. Thank you for coming down.
Anytime.
Will Hellmers kind of putting a bow on his career with going through the great moments and sharing some good intel on the team this year. And you hope it's an Omaha team and a national championship team. So
Let's do it.
I guess we'll find out. These next couple weeks will be very fun. So,
Absolutely. Rock and roll, baby.
thank you for your time. Big thanks to Chuck and our entire production crew. Thank you for watching. We will catch you next time on Game Time with John Eads.